को मैं फिर एक बार ढेर सारी
Hello and welcome, I'm Thomas Porteous and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories this hour. Explosions shake Jammu as Pakistan launches missiles and drones at Indian military bases in Kashmir and Punjab. Pakistan denies responsibility as the Indian army shoot down the drones. This comes while global powers urge calm amid rising tensions. Chicago-born Robert Prevost becomes Pope Leo XIV, the first American to lead the Catholic Church, cheered on by thousands in St. Peter's Square. A former missionary in Peru, he promises peace as the world watches the 267th pontiff emerge from the balcony. World leaders celebrate Pope Leo XIV's election. Macron calls it historic. Trump says it's a great honour and Putin hopes for a constructive dialogue. From Poland to Canada, leaders praise the new American pontiff's call for peace, dignity and global unity. President Trump demands a 30-day unconditional ceasefire in Ukraine, threatening new sanctions if Russia fails to comply. Ukraine agrees to Washington's plan, but Moscow only offers a 3-day halt to mark World War II's anniversary. Ukraine claims that Russia launches 220 strikes on Ukrainian villages in Zaporizhia during the ceasefire, using 150 drones and 70 artillery rounds in the past 24 hours. Governor Ivan Fedorov slams the attacks as a blatant violation, fueling fresh tensions on the front line. President Donald Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer strike a limited trade deal, keeping US tariffs on British goods but easing duties on UK cars and boosting farm access. It's the first in a series of trade moves. Trump plans to cut America's massive deficit and shake up global commerce. Trump says US-China trade talks kick off this weekend in Switzerland, hinting Americans' 145% tariffs on Beijing may drop. After months of stalemate, Washington eyes a deal as tensions between the world's top economies start to ease. Moscow launches Victory Day celebrations with 27 world leaders at Red Square. China's Xi Jinping, Brazil's Lula da Silva and Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro are among honoured guests. The event coincides with Zelensky accusing Russia of violating its own ceasefire proposal. In the light of the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan, Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is leading a critical high-level meeting with CDS and TRI service chiefs. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha is visiting Uri to meet soldiers and review the ground situation. According to sources, Pakistan used Chinese-made Sh-15 artillery guns to target Indian positions in last night's firings. There were casualties in last night's attacks. The army dismisses rumours of suicide attacks in the Pathankot and Rajouri as completely baseless. Officials urge the public to ignore misleading reports circulating online. Pakistan has claimed on May the 5th that a post appealing to its international partners for financial aid amid rising tensions with India was fake. Earlier in the day, the Economic Affairs Division of the government of Pakistan asked its allies for more loans while claiming heavy losses inflicted by neighbouring India. In the aftermath of the Operation Sindoor, former Pentagon official Michael Rubin publicly backs India's military action against terror. He blames Pakistan for fomenting terrorism and calls on Washington to firmly stand with New Delhi. The Indian Army confirms that Pakistani troops launched coordinated drone and munitions attack along the western border during the night of May the 8th and May the 9th. Multiple ceasefire violations took place along the LOC. The Indian Army responded with force and intercepted threats promptly. Pakistan deployed swarm drones in a coordinated strike attempt across the line of control and border areas. The Indian Army's air defence destroyed over 50 drones in a major operation covering Udhampur, Samba, Jammu and Anknor. We are joined by our reporter live, Ajay Jandial, correspondent for NewsX World, who is currently located on the ground in Jammu. Ajay, what updates can you give me from last night's drone attack and also the information about artillery shelling along the western border and the line of control?
Firing has stopped early in the morning at around 5:30 as far as this drone and missile attack is concerned. But now, authorities and the Jammu Kashmir police and the other agencies, they are definitely roaming everywhere to recover the, wreckage or any debris of any drone or missile which was fired from across the international border in the line of control area. You could see that this is one of a location where sources are saying that one of explosion took place. After that, one room over here, concrete structure was collapsed, and after this incident was reported, the local, they informed the police, and police now they rushed to the spot and they are investigating this matter, whether it was a missile or a drone, what it was, that has to be seen. But the way basically Pakistan is targeting the civilian area, that shows it's a matter of concern, because not the first incident, but many incident has happened over here in the Jammu and Kashmir for the last 3 days, when Pakistan is intentionally targeting the civilians, whether it is Punch, whether it is Rajouri, Uri, and more than 1 lakh people have been vacated from these locations to the safer locations so that they will not get hurt, as Pakistan is intentionally targeting the civilian area.
Ajay, authorities imposed nighttime blackouts in multiple states last night, including the one that you're in. How disruptive were those measures for residents and emergency services?
Pardon, please repeat the question.
I said authorities imposed blackouts last night across multiple states across the western border and the LOC. How disruptive were those measures for residents and emergency services?
I see it was required as well, because what we have seen that last late night when sirens started sounding all around the line of control in the international border area and a different part of the northern and the western border with Pakistan, the people, they went inside their houses, but those who were vacated and taken to the safer location, they basically, their lives were saved, because if it could have been not decided by the authorities, then the situation could have been different, because Pakistan, as I told you, that intentionally targeting the civilian area. But we have seen that in Akhnoor, in Sunderbani, Nowshera, Rajouri, Poonch, Uri, Baramulla, Kupwara, these were the locations where they have intentionally targeted the civilian area, and that's the reason. Just imagine that. I can show you the visuals as well. This is one of concrete building which was collapsed last late night when one of missile or some drone which Pakistan was using to hit out at the civilians area, that was hit here, and after that this building was collapsed. So this is a situation people are facing on the ground over here in the Jammu and Kashmir because of the heavy shelling from Pakistan side.
Ajay, just one final question. I just want to get an insight of what the situation was like last night for the residents, for yourself. What sounds did you hear? What kind of things were you experiencing? Can you just give us a bit of an insight into how people are feeling there after last night's events?
People definitely, they are in the pain. Those who have heart, those who have faced the intense shelling of Pakistan, especially people lives in Uri and the Poonch area. They basically are the sufferer because they have lost their properties, they have lost their family members, and that's why it's a matter of concern for them, and that's why they're in the pain. And those who have seen the intense shelling, they are also worried that Pakistan, when it's targeting the civilian area, that is something which definitely could create trouble for them. So that's why they are worried that what is going to happen next moment, because only few hours back there was a one siren was reported there in the Pathankot and other part of the line international border with Pakistan. So that shows that they need to be very precautious, and that's why people are saying that something concrete need to be done as far as Pakistan is concerned.
Ajay Jandial, thank you very much for joining us. We now move on over to Europe, where white smoke rose above the Sistine Chapel, signalling a new pope has been elected. The conclave of 133 cardinals has elected Robert Francis Prevost as the 267th pontiff. He will be known as Pope Leo XIV, or as many call him, the Bridge Builder. His name was officially announced by Cardinal Dominique Mambert. Here's how the new Pope was announced by the Cardinal.
Eminentissimum, ac reverendissimum Dominum, Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost. Qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV.
Crowds flooded St. Peter's Square chanting Viva il Papa, which means long live the Pope. Joy swept across Rome. Pope Leo XIV is the first American Pope in history who was born in Chicago and has been a long-time missionary in Peru. In his first speech, he called for peace, dialogue and unity, saying, "To all people, to the whole earth, peace be with you." Let's take a listen in to what Pope Leo XIV had to say.
Questo è il primo saluto del Cristo risorto, il buon pastore che ha dato la vita per il gregge di Dio. Anch'io vorrei che questo saluto di pace entrasse nel vostro cuore, raggiungesse le vostre famiglie, a tutte le persone, ovunque siano, a tutti i popoli, a tutta la terra. La pace sia con voi. Aiutateci anche voi, poi gli uni gli altri, a costruire i ponti, con il dialogo, con l'incontro, unendoci tutti per essere un solo popolo, sempre in pace.
He honoured the late Pope Francis, speaking warmly in Spanish to the cheering crowd. He gave a heartfelt message to the people of Chiclayo, Peru, where he once served as bishop. Bells rang out across Rome. Here's what the new Pope said.
Permiten también una palabra, un saludo a todos aquellos, y en modo particular a mi querida diócesis de Chiclayo en el Perú. Donde un pueblo fiel ha acompañado a su obispo, ha compartido su fe y ha dado tanto para seguir siendo iglesia fiel de Jesucristo.
Smiles, prayers and hope filled the square. Now the world looks to the Pope Leo XIV to lead 1.4 billion Catholics forward. We stay in Europe now, and Russian President Vladimir Putin welcomed international leaders at the Kremlin on Thursday ahead of Victory Day celebrations. More than 20 foreign heads of state, including China's Xi Jinping and Brazil's Lula da Silva, are expected at the May 9th military parade in Moscow. The parade marks 80 years since the defeat of Nazi Germany. Around 27 leaders are set to attend, according to the Kremlin. Originally, 29 were due, but Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev and Laos's President Thongloun Sisoulith cancelled. This show of support comes as Europe continues efforts to isolate Moscow diplomatically. Ukraine, which has stepped up drone strikes on the Russian capital ahead of the parade, condemned the presence of foreign leaders, calling it a sign of backing for Putin's three-year war on its territory. The gathering also signals Moscow's deepening ties with allies, even as relations with Washington show signs of cautious re-engagement. Let's take a listen in to what the Russian president had to say.
Прежде всего, сердечно приветствую и благодарю вас, наших надежных друзей и партнеров. Вы приехали в Москву, чтобы разделить с нами радость праздника Победы над нацизмом, почтить память героев, спасших человечество. 9 мая – священная дата для нашего многонационального народа. Дорогие друзья, позвольте предложить тост за поколение победителей, за великую победу, за мир и благополучие, за вас, за наших друзей.
Now, in a related development, the governor of Zaporizhia, Ivan Fedorov, says Russia struck 8 Ukrainian settlements near the front line, 220 times in just 24 hours. These attacks reportedly took place during the proposed ceasefire window. According to Fedorov, Russian forces used over 150 drones and fired 70 artillery rounds on villages across the region. The strikes come amidst US President Donald Trump's pushing for a 30-day unconditional ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. He warned that Washington and its allies will impose tougher sanctions if the ceasefire is broken. Ukraine has welcomed the proposal, with President Volodymyr Zelensky saying Kyiv is ready to begin a 30-day truce starting this minute. In a phone call with Trump on Thursday, Zelensky also said that Ukraine is open to talks with Russia in any format, but only after a full and unconditional ceasefire. Trump said the ceasefire must pave the way to a peace deal and added that he's ready to assist negotiations at any moment. Meanwhile, Russia has only proposed a 3-day pause to coincide with these Victory Day celebrations. Ukraine has dismissed Moscow's proposal as a farce, accusing Russia of violating its own ceasefire within hours. The Trump-Zelensky call reportedly went very well, lasting around 20 minutes and also touching on a newly ratified minerals deal. We stay in Europe now, where US President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced a limited trade deal agreement, easing some tariffs but leaving key barriers in place. The deal reduces US duties on British cars and steel while opening new market access for US beef, ethanol and aircraft engines. Trump, however, has kept a 10% tariff on most British exports, saying that each country's trade deal will reflect their balance with the United States. This was later reaffirmed by US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, as he said that the 10% baseline is for those countries that have a balanced budget with the US, that are the best. British car tariffs will fall from 27.5% to 10% for up to 100,000 vehicles annually, covering nearly all UK auto exports. The UK secured tariff-free quotas for ethanol, but beef refused US demands to weaken food safety or scrap its digital services tax. British Steel will now enter the US duty-free, offering relief to the struggling industry and saving hundreds of jobs. Markets reacted positively, with airline stocks surging after Rolls-Royce engines were cleared for duty-free entry into the US. Starmer called the agreement historic, while Trump promised more trade deals in the coming weeks, starting with China talks this weekend. Both sides said the deal marks progress, but acknowledged that deeper negotiations still lie ahead. Here's what both Starmer and Trump later commented about the deal.
I also want to be clear, this is just the start. With the deal we've done today, we can say jobs saved, jobs won, not job done, because we're more ambitious for what the UK and the US can do together. So we're hammering out further details to reduce barriers to trade with the United States across the board.
It's a very conclusive deal, but we think we can grow it even from that. But this is a maxed out deal, not like you said it. You said it really incorrectly. This is a maxed out deal that we're going to make bigger, and we make it bigger through growth. But we have tremendous assets involved. I was surprised to see how big your country is in trade, actually. You know, one of the biggest in technology and so many other things. It's agriculture. I really didn't know. It's depending on your definition, it's from 4 to 5 to 6. That's pretty big in the world. So I was very impressed by that. But we're going to take it to new levels. It's a very big deal right now.
Joined by Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist located in New Delhi, to discuss this in further detail. Gautam, thank you very much for joining us. There's been talks of these trade deals being agreed with countries after the tariffs were paused. One has finally been struck publicly. What are your thoughts? Is this a win for either country, Gautam? And so this is the first deal that has been signed by the US after Donald Trump's pause on the Liberation Day tariffs. The UK previously faced a 10% levy as opposed to other countries which faced much higher, but Donald Trump actually spoke of trade deals with other countries. But we move over to the United Kingdom directly now, where King Charles III joined veterans, royals and leaders at Westminster Abbey to mark 80 years since World War II. The King and Prince William laid wreaths at the tomb of the unknown warrior, with messages honouring those who sacrificed. In a poignant service, Charles, undergoing cancer treatment, called for global unity against tyranny. Winston Churchill's great-great-grandson lit a peace candle, while veterans received white roses from children. The services included wartime readings, music and tributes, followed by a concert at Horse Guards Parade, attended by over 10,000 people. Kate and Camilla laid flowers for war victims. This commemoration is likely the last major event with surviving World War II veterans. Prime Minister Keir Starmer and dignitaries also attended, and pubs were allowed to extended hours for the occasion. Charles called the Allied victory a symbol of unity across nations, races and beliefs. Well, that's all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world.